Hi, Susan here. This is a writing lesson. We are going to work on a writing task 1 involving describing a bar chart. Our aims are to answer a writing task 1 question involving a bar chart. And to do that, we're going to follow a step-by-step guide on how to structure your writing. And also look at ways to vary your vocabulary and use generalizations in your text so that you can improve your score in the IELTS test, because this really helps. If you avoid repeating vocabulary, repeating structures, etc., it's you're more likely to get a better score. So let's get to it. All right, so this is the writing task 1 that we are going to look at. So remember, with the writing task 1, you have about 20 minutes to complete it. You will have 1 hour for both tasks, task 1 and task 2. So if you take more than 20 minutes, but you'll take less time with the writing task 2, that's also fine. But roughly we suggest, and the IELTS test itself also suggests 20 minutes to complete this task. And you should write at least 150 words. So it's a short text. It's not as large as the writing task 2, which is 250 words. So this one is only 150. 2, maximum 3 paragraphs is enough. And this is the one that we have here. It's about free time activities or hobbies, leisure activities. Across America. So this is the statement. The chart shows the percentage of people who engage in the most popular leisure activities across the USA according to a 2018 survey. Summarize the information by selecting and reporting the main features and make comparisons where relevant. So pretty standard writing task 1 question. So let's look at it into more detail. So step 1 is always to interpret the chart. So we need to look at this chart and make sure that we understand it. What is the chart showing? So for example, in this chart here, does this chart show preference for each activity? What do you think? Looking at this chart, what do you think? Does it show preference for each activity? No, it does not. It's not showing preference because it's not asking, like, for example, which one do you prefer from these options? It's asking, for example, asking people, tick the ones that you do or that you like doing. Otherwise, the total would be 100%. But here, if we have 65%, let's say, and here we have dining out, so we have 55%. If you add up, that's more than 100%, so that wouldn't work. So that's why it's not preference. This chart shows the percentage of people who do the activities rather than if they prefer one or the other. And does the chart show how many people engage in these activities? Does it give you the number of people? No, it doesn't. It tells you the percentage of people and not the actual number of people. So there is a difference there. So when you are describing this chart, you need to make sure you say percentage rather than the number of people. So let's describe this chart in general terms. Which of these sentences here, 1, 2, 3, or 4, describe the chart? If you want to think about it, you can pause the video. And when you're ready, you can unpause it. Okay, so let's see. Number 1, around 65% of US residents listen to music in 2018. Is that correct? Yes, it is. This is fine. It looks like it's around 65%. So yes, that's fine. Now, this other sentence here, listening to music accounts for about 65% of leisure activities. No, that would be incorrect because it's the percentage of people and not the percentage of activities. So we need to be careful with that when we are describing the chart, when we're describing the percentages. So it's the percentage of what? 3, just over 30% of people said they baked for fun. Yes, just over 30% here. 30% bake for fun here. Just over, so a little bit over. That's it, fine. And 4, roughly 34% of respondents selected cooking for fun as their preferred leisure activity. No, we covered this. This is not about preference. So the chart does not show people's preference, is only showing if they did the activities or not. Okay, let's move on. So step 2 is to write the introduction. So in the introduction, you're going to write an overview of the chart. And to do that, you can paraphrase the question to write the introduction, but you need to make sure that it is paraphrased enough. If you write an introduction that is too similar to this, your words are not going to be counted. This paragraph is not going to be counted because you basically copied the question. So if you paraphrase it, you need to paraphrase enough. Now, if you or you can also just describe in general terms the chart using your own words, and that is also a good introduction. So let's see. We have 3 examples here of introductions. Which one is best? You can pause the video to decide and think about it and read it. And when you're ready, unpause it. I hope that you're ready because I'm going to give you the answers now. So, number 1, the bar chart depicts the percentage of US residents who participate in the most common free time activities in 2018. This one, the problem with it is that it changes the words, but it keeps the same structure. So it's very, very similar still to the question here. So instead of saying the chart, it says the bar chart shows depicts. The percentage is the same of people, US residents, who is still there, engage, participate. It's like changing the word, but it's still the same structure, same order. In the most common, the most popular free time activities, leisure activities in 2018. So basically it's very, very, very similar. It changed the words, so use synonyms, so it's a start, but it's still pretty similar. The second one is using the same word. It changed the structure, but not the words. So it still says the chart, like the bar chart. It shows, illustrates. The most popular, so the most popular is also here. Leisure activities is also here. In the USA is also here. And the percentage of people who engage in them also engage here. Percentage of people who engage, same. So too similar again. This one is our winner because it changes the words and the structure. So the bar chart illustrates the results of a 2018 survey on the most common free time activities and the percentage of US residents taking part in them. So as you can see, it's very paraphrased, and that's acceptable. This is a good introduction. All right, so what's the next step? Let's write the body. For the body paragraph, start with the most relevant information and then carry on to the other details. Try to vary your vocabulary and sentence structure, or your text can get very repetitive and tiring, and that will also not work very well for your IELTS band. You would need a good variety of vocabulary and grammatical devices to get a band 5.5 or above, because otherwise they consider that you don't know the vocabulary or you don't know the grammar, because otherwise you would be using it. So you get a lower score. And remember that this information is from 2018, so you will need to use the past simple. So this is 2018. It's not from today and it's not from the future, so it's in the past. Here is a sample of a body paragraph. Listening to music was clearly the most popular activity in the USA in 2018, with about 65% of people doing the activity. The next most popular hobbies were dining out and reading books, accounting for about 55 and 45% of US residents, respectively. Meanwhile, roughly 35% of the people surveyed said they enjoyed playing card games, and a slightly lower percentage accounted for people who responded to engage in cooking for fun and barbecuing. The least popular activity shown in the chart, accounting for just over 30% of respondents, was baking for fun. However, it is clear that the last 4 free time activities have very little difference in terms of popularity. Okay, so let's look at this closely. So as you can see, I'm using some ing, some verbs in the ing form as the subject or object of the sentence. So that helps me refer to the activities. So instead of saying like people listen to music, I can say listening to music was a popular activity. So I can use them as the subject or the object of the sentence. That makes it less personal, and yeah, it's more appropriate for an essay. All right. Also, I refer to people in different ways. So I can say people doing the activity, US residents, because I said this survey was in the USA, so I know they are US residents, people who live in the USA. People surveyed, so people who answered the questions in the survey. People who responded, so same. Respondents is the same as people who responded. So this varies the vocabulary a bit, so I don't have to repeat all the time like people, or Americans. We often call people who participate in a survey respondents, so this is good to use, but you don't have to repeat it all the time. It's good to vary. So respondents, people who responded, etc. All right. Next, use adverbs to indicate numbers are not exact. So I saw in the survey they mark 60%, 70%. They don't mark anything in the middle. So I don't know exactly what the percentage was. So I can use about, roughly, slightly, just over. So I don't know exactly how much it was, but I can give like an estimate. So like it's not exactly, but more or less this much. So this is good to use as well, and it's good to vary. Don't say about. You can say about, roughly, slightly, just over, approximately, more or less, etc. You can also make comparisons using superlatives and comparatives because this is a bar chart. It's showing different activities. It's not showing you a trend. It's showing you different activities and their popularity in the same year. So it's begging you to make comparisons here. So for example, the most popular activity, the next most popular, or the second most popular, the enjoy playing, and a slightly lower percentage, the least popular activity. So it's good to use the superlatives, it's good to use the comparatives and show that you got that language to make comparisons. Also, the question, the essay question, is asking you to make comparisons where relevant, so do it. All right, so last step, count the words, or almost the last step. Let's see. This one has, so I have my introduction here, my body, and I counted 138 words. So we have room for a little bit more. So we could add a brief summary, but remember, the writing task 1 does not require a conclusion. So you're not going to write a conclusion, you're not going to give your opinion. You are only going to write a brief summary, so you're going to repeat the same thing but in fewer words. So remember, no conclusion, no opinion. For writing task 2, you can give your opinion. For writing task 1, only the information that is in the chart. So we have an extra step, step 5, which is to close your text. So I added a little summary here. So to sum up, the 3 most popular hobbies in the USA in 2018 were practiced by different percentages of people, while the remaining 4 activities were almost just as popular as each other. So it's basically the same thing that I said, but shorter. So this is our final sample. That's the full text. We have now 171 words. That's a good number. That's fine. So if you want to check it out, you can also look at the PDF from this lesson. You can read it more calmly by yourself, slowly if you like, or paying attention to the words that were used and how they were used. Go for it. And then it's time for you to practice. So you can answer the writing task 1 in the following page, or the one in the lesson description, which is the same, this one here. So this is your practice. You're going to do this writing task 1. It's on the PDF, it's on the lesson description. So make sure that you get it. And you're going to do something very similar to the one that we did in this lesson, so you can follow the same steps. It's the same idea. You have 20 minutes, you have to write 150 words, and it's also in percentages. So the chart shows the percentage of Germans who engage at least once a week in the leisure activities listed. So we have a list here of the activities. Summarize the information by selecting and reporting the main features and make comparisons where relevant. So that's it. You're going to describe this chart here in 150 words or more and within 20 minutes. This is good practice. You can do this with different charts as well. If you find other charts online, go for it and practice. But that doesn't mean that you're just going to be doing writing practice all the time, okay? It's not important that you do it all the time. It's important that you write, but it's not important that you do IELTS tasks all the time. So if you want to practice your writing in other ways, that's also very, very useful. But this is one that you can do that is a little bit more focused on the test. So go for it, and I hope that this lesson helped, and I'll see you on the next one.